The Galactic Council had dismissed humanity's application for the third time when the Vorthak Imperium struck without warning. Their massive fleet materialized at the edge of Council space, dark ships bristling with weapons that could crack moons in half. Within hours, 3 star systems had fallen silent. Admiral Kethvar of the Altarian Defense Force stood before the holographic display in the command center, his scaled features grim. The projection showed the Vorthak advance, unstoppable, methodical, devastating. His advisors whispered frantically around him, but their words felt hollow against the magnitude of what approached. "Sir," Lieutenant Zarath interrupted, "the humans are requesting an audience." Kethvar's 4 eyes narrowed. The humans, those strange, soft-skinned mammals from the Outer Rim. They had been petitioning for council membership for decades, claiming they could contribute to galactic defense. Most species found them amusing at best, primitive at worst. They had no natural armor, no enhanced reflexes, no telepathic abilities. What could they possibly offer now? "Send them in," he said finally. Captain Sarah Chen entered the command center with confident strides, her dark hair pulled back in a regulation bun. Behind her walked Commander Torres carrying a datapad that seemed to glow with urgency. The assembled council members, Altarians, Zenthari, Kelvins, and others, watched with barely concealed skepticism. "Admiral," Chen began, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the crisis. "We've analyzed the Vorthak fleet composition. Their strategy relies on overwhelming coordinated strikes using Dreadnought-class vessels. We believe we have a solution." Kethvar's translator implant converted her words, but the meaning seemed impossible. "Captain, our greatest war machines require crews of 100 specialists each. The Zenthari battle mechs need 50 pilots working in perfect synchronization. Even then, we're outmatched. What could your species possibly—" "The Prometheus," Chen interrupted, tapping her communicator. The holographic display shifted, showing a vessel unlike anything the Council had ever seen. It was massive, nearly a kilometer long, but sleek where Council ships were bulky, elegant where they were utilitarian. Strange geometric patterns covered its hull, and weapon ports dotted its surface like stars in the void. "This is a prototype we've been developing for 20 years, Torres explained, his weathered face serious. "It's based on human neural architecture, designed for a single operator to control every system simultaneously." The assembled aliens exchanged glances that ranged from amused to incredulous. A Zenthari ambassador, his blue skin shimmering, spoke first. "Impossible. Our greatest battle minds can barely coordinate a dozen weapon systems." "You claim one human can operate an entire dreadnought?" Chen's smile was sharp as a blade. "We don't just claim it. We're going to prove it." 6 hours later, the Prometheus hung in space like a predator waiting to strike. Inside its neural command core, Captain Chen lay suspended in a web of fiber optic cables and quantum processors. Her consciousness expanded across every system of the massive ship. Through sensors scattered across the hull, she could see, feel, and touch everything. Through the ship's quantum computer, she could think faster than any organic mind had ever achieved. The Vorthak fleet approached in their traditional formation, a wall of dark metal that had crushed every defense the galaxy could muster. Their ships were nightmares of biomechanical engineering, grown rather than built, their hulls pulsing with organic rhythms. Each dreadnought carried enough firepower to glass a continent. In the Council Command Center, Admiral Kethvar watched the displays with growing dread. "There are 57 capital ships in that formation. Even with our combined fleet, we couldn't—" His words died as the Prometheus moved. It didn't accelerate gradually like conventional ships. Instead, it seemed to flicker out of existence and reappear 30,000 kilometers away, directly in the path of the Vorthak advance. Energy readings spiked across every sensor as the human ship's weapons came online. Not the crude energy beams or projectile weapons the Council used, but something far more sophisticated. Chen felt the ship's systems like extensions of her own body. The quantum torpedoes were her fingers, reaching out to touch the enemy. The plasma cannons were her voice, speaking in languages of pure destruction. The defensive shields flowed around her like skin, adapting and strengthening with each impact. The first Vorthak dreadnought opened fire, a salvo that should have vaporized any Council vessel. But the Prometheus danced. Chen spun the massive ship like a fighter craft, its inertial dampener screaming at maximum output as she twisted between incoming fire. Her return volley struck 3 ships simultaneously, quantum torpedoes phasing through their bioarmor to detonate inside their cores. How is this possible? Kethavar whispered. On the battlefield, Chen fought like humanity had always fought, with impossible determination and the absolute refusal to accept defeat. Her consciousness flowed through the ship's neural networks at light speed, making tactical decisions faster than the Vorthak computers could process. She was everywhere at once, targeting enemy weak points, reinforcing damaged systems, calculating firing solutions for dozens of weapons simultaneously. The Vorthak formation tried to adapt, their ships spreading out to avoid her concentrated fire. But Chen had anticipated this. The Prometheus split its attention across the entire battlefield, its weapons striking with surgical precision, while its defensive systems absorbed punishment that would have destroyed entire fleets. One by one, the biomechanical nightmares fell silent. When the last Vorthak ship exploded in a cascade of dying organic light, the battlefield fell eerily quiet. The Prometheus hung motionless among the debris, its hull scarred but intact. Inside the neural core, Captain Chen slowly disconnected from the ship's systems, her human mind settling back into its organic limitations. In the Council Command Center, nobody spoke for long moments. Admiral Kethavar stared at the tactical display showing the scattered remains of what had been the most feared fleet in the galaxy, destroyed by a single human in a single ship. Finally, Lieutenant Zarath broke the silence.
Admiral,
Should we prepare the treaty documents? Kethavar looked at the display once more, then at his assembled advisors, representatives of species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia, now humbled by what they had witnessed. Yes, he said quietly. I believe it's time to welcome humanity to the Galactic Council. Later, when the historians would ask how Captain Sarah Chen had accomplished the impossible, she would give them the same answer she gave Admiral Kethavar that day. You designed your war machines for your species. Logical, methodical, specialized. We designed ours for humans. We don't do anything halfway. The galaxy learned that day that sometimes, the most terrifying thing in the universe isn't a creature with claws or fangs or superior technology. Sometimes it's a species stubborn enough to look at impossible odds and decide to win anyway.